I'm going to read a piece called it's about one of the great big events that happened in Roanoke, Virginia recently. Uh, an emu was found running around the city. And of course, Appalachia is not known for its emus. So I dedicate this poem to this brave bird. This is a poem called Emu on the Lamb. So this is Here's a Quiet Calamity. Summer burns out its final furnace, frying Appalachia to an August brown. And we've a mishap with wise ties to claims and hopes we would clam up, keep secret that there's an emu on the loose, traipsing up and down Roanoke streets, invading the inevitable, now standing in the shade of misplaced Bradford pears, ingenious camouflage except for his shaking tail feathers at lunchtime traffic speeding by for quick bites. He commands the grass where it meets the road, bending around neighborhood hills, while news outlets report someone's friend has been lost, ending no information available. Could this be great bluegrass? Oops. An emu on the lamb, upon green lawn, alone and blue, a flightless Australian fowl, newly minted in city myth, prancing by banks and liquor stores, painting the town in magnificent brown until tomorrow's storms, whip and tail, washes away all evidence of plumes. Thank you.
I'm going to read a piece that I wrote most recently. Um, as many of you know, I spend a lot of time between Ohio and New Mexico. Um, have family, friends, developing a lot of relationships there. And so this is a piece I wrote when I was in New Mexico, actually, and I call it Cloudburst. A cool night wind blows in through our open window, carrying the scent of sunburned earth on its back. It stirs me from our collective sleep of water dreams and memories, a hint of rain, yet not enough to wet the parched throat of the Rio Grande or to calm the aching cries of the corn, the squash, and beans as they struggle to survive in the garden. Your heavy sigh turns toward me in a wave of unrest, still wearing a trace of the cedar fence posts on your hands, hot and sore from months of hard labor. They reach me in quiet against the steady rise and fall of my breath. My hands cover yours in a gentleness you never fear in your dreams, leads you into a measured beat with my heart that you only remember as you wake, gone at first look, you close and question. It's okay, our life, it's good, though it struggles to survive sometimes under the crushing weight of the sun. And the monsoons are late this year. We're missing the gully washer down from the mountains. They have the power to move boulders.
Sweet child, as you look back in time to see the holes in space where friends and family should be, short lives that should have left longer shadows across experience, kisses, hugs, and lessons never shared. Know that they would now embrace you in communion transcending span of days. These holes you see still let in light, pattern woven round them, stitches all to all, echoes, flowering song, exhales, sweet scent from memory and momentum. They are you, and you contain in you at least a part of them, those known to you or lost before your arrival. These holes may tunnel down to grief, but they fill with wonder. Oh, child, dear child, do not fear to peer deep and discover marvelous tales that mirror your new trail. Living loved ones may falter, falling into morning, dipping arms into openings, attempting to pull last treasures from well of tears. Hold them tight. Do not allow them to fall in and be lost. An occasional drink of salt water passing lips will wake tired taste buds and summon recollection of shared feasts. But these waters of grief do not bubble up to be bathed in. Sweet little one, we wish, as all who have lost will always wish, you could have known or heard the singular spirit encased in each lost opportunity deprives us of the sweet and the tender, the hilarious and melancholy character each snuff candle's once dancing flame contained. Look into the eyes of the living behind puddling saline falls. That candlelight still flickers undimmed. Let them kindle and pass on the incandescence. Let the light that emanates from these holes in space that mark your past, that invisibly led to you now, stay strong. Sweet, dear, gentle child, be all the sum their lost promise allows, for you have life, and that is what their paid price bought, and you are worth it all. Okay, thank you.
So I'm just a quick thing about this poem. It's called Smidgen. My grandma used to call these people Smidgens, and she would tell us that you stay away from those people if you have a kind of funny feeling in your gut, when you're a kid, and just and feel like that person's kind of strange or weird, just stay away from them and stuff. And she called them Smidgens, and we never really knew what that meant. A little bit later on in life, in the magazine, I saw different Irish terms, and Smidgen meant someone that was a little bit less than savory. But we also know smidgen to mean just a little bit here, a little bit there. When you're cooking something, just put a little smidgen in. So it's just meant a little bit less than. And I thought it was so funny, but I ended up calling this poem Smidgen about those people. It was just kind of odd. So it's called Smidgen. I try to have a good attitude, but sometimes my mood supersedes society's way of things. Well, who gives a fuck? Ain't like those critics are paying my bills. Be for real. Only they know where they go behind closed doors with cheap ass whores, and in the morning stand tall, proclaiming righteousness, pointing a finger in my face like I'm a disgrace because I write racy poetry, while they creep behind the scenes using any means possible to play their own games, ashamed to be named frequenting places like Ray's Playpen on Main Street, beaten to magazines, having wild dreams, hitting on girls less than 16, home to their wives after out all night, poker game with the boys. Happy, joy, love their games, love their toys, upstanding and fine, walking the line, U.S. citizens, just a smidgen above criminal. Thank you.
Blues song. Carrie Hughes takes her son's hand. They approach the front doors of Harrison Street School. Langston pulls his hand away, not belligerent, but independent, even at the age of 6. They open one wooden doors, enter a musky-smelling foyer. A snippy attendant asks what they want. The attendant's middle-aged face attests she's a smoker, skin lined and drawn. The attendant says they'll have to wait. Half an hour later, the principal ushers Carrie and her son into the office. Carrie tells him she wants to enroll her son in the 1st grade. The principal, Eli S. Foster, a heavy man with thinning hair, pinched nose, puckered lips that look as if he's brushed his teeth with lemon juice, rears back in his chair, evidently offended by the very idea, leans forward with folded hands atop his desk, demands that Langston attend the more distant colored children's Washington school. Carrie protests that her son cannot walk that distance daily. She tells her principal that he will hear more about his decision when she addresses the Topeka Board of Education. She grabs Langston's hand again. Mother and son leave as quickly as possible. At his grandmother's house, he slumps on the porch. hears them through the screen door, throwing a particular word back and forth. He does not understand segregation, but the word chills him. Lies at the bottom of his stomach, like a chunk of everlasting ice. Thank you.
This is called Awakening. In that moment before full consciousness, my mind allows me to believe that I could call out a question and my mother would answer from the other room, or a yell to my daughter upstairs might get a response in return. The TV, tired of watching me sleep, has turned itself off. Maybe the quiet is what pulls me toward consciousness. The cat burbles a query as he stands on my hip, stretches, pats my face with his soft paw. My mind, now fully awake, reminds me that my mother resides in a facility on lockdown 3 miles east. Even if we did live together, she would not be able to answer my call to her. My daughter is not upstairs, asleep after playing video games all night. She lives an hour away in a grown-up life of her own. I roll over slightly, glance at the clock, my constant source of grounding. I decide it's not too early for the dog to go out, whether he wants to or not.
This is called Under the Harvest Moon. I gathered pictures of pink crystals in my elixir box, for there is no potion to conjure a mystical notion of love. A true embrace occurs when moonlight alchemizes my phantoms, and I mesmerize the fates with my plea. I want to fold and unfold our bodies in velvet sheets beyond the dent in my mattress. A physical space now appears, tying those dreamy sequences where I rest my head upon your shoulder and spill my Persian tears. Your touch allows me to be still as the haunting of ghostings begin to fade. Across the autumn equinox, we create our new dimension as softness echoes with each caress. Let me see. In that rhythm of life, jack-o'-lanterns blaze the night, and our harvest moon appears. Thank you.
So I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. My visual work tonight is a tribute to Michelangelo, and his quote is, "The sculpture is already complete." He believed that the sculpture was already complete within the marble block before he began working on it, and that he was just removing the excess material. Of course, this is one of his most famous sculptures, the David. And this is a visual sequence of a marble rock. This is my realistic image. And here is another realistic image. And here is a surrealistic image, which was edited by Canva. Another surrealistic image. And then the last one is surrealistic. So thank you for letting me give a little tribute to Michelangelo and his inspiration for how a sculpture is extracted from rock.
It's called Easy Again. I watched as you pushed through the temperament of your storm. I have watched you struggle. I have watched you fall and crumble to the ground. I cringed at the sound of your psyche splattering into 1,000 pieces. The rawness of your pain blaring like a trumpet, each note an echo of anxiety, its breath reeking of shame, fear, and uncertainty, taunting you with an ever persistent mantra. a looping voice that said, "You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not strong enough." But I don't believe it, and neither should you. I have watched you struggle. I have watched you fall and crumble to the ground. I cringed at the sound of your psyche splattering into 1,000 pieces, succumbing to the will of your fear. And I have watched you rise and gather those shattered pieces, putting yourself together again. You turned the corner. You turned a deaf ear to the call of your anxiety. It may not have been pretty, but I watched and as you faced your storms head on and tackling life's most challenging maze filled with obstacles that swallowed you whole in waves of blue ocean, forcing you to sink or swim. But despite your fear, you swam those waves. It wasn't easy watching you struggle through those heavy bouts of pain, fear, and uncertainty. You turned a deaf ear to your anxiety at every corner, at every turn, until you could no longer hear its whispers, until your pulse stopped racing, until you were able to breathe easy again.
And I'll read this piece, which is called, where is it? Why Sophia Can't Get Enough of Marrakesh. At the old school bookstore next door to your neighborhood coffee shop, you find an obscure poetry journal from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. You read a poem on page 23 whose syllabic rhythm skips to a beat like a shiny, slick rock, skip, skips across a lake on a lazy summer day. You imagine a poet reading the poem backed by a man slowly plucking strings on an upright bass shaped like a voluptuous woman. You find yourself snapping your fingers and tapping your feet to the poem as if it were a song stuck in your head. It's hook in your mind, repeating to a beat, to a beat, to a beat till you find yourself in a dingy basement jazz joint tucked away near Bleecker Street. And you think about that poem you read in that hole-in-the-wall coffee shop run by a man from Morocco where tea is served in metal-adorned glass cups with fresh mint leaves and coffee is brewed with water infused with mace, cardamom, and cinnamon from Ceylon. There is a sign near the antique brass cash register. If you want whipped cream with coffee, go to Starbucks. It never fails to make you laugh, letting the man from Morocco know his sense of humor has found your sense of humor's G-spot. So you sit at a wobbly wooden table, gripping your scotch on the rocks. The ice jingles against the glass. A man on an upright bass shaped like Sophia Loren plucks at strings, setting a beat for a drummer to tap his skins and cymbals with feathered sticks. A woman pulls the slide on her trombone. Her cheeks expand to full bullfrog. She exhales into brass. You sip your scotch. Your throat is bathed in warmth. You open your eyes to witness a trio of noises that is nothing less than poetry.
I'm Martin Parker from DC at the moment, but I've grew up in Pennsylvania, closer to Philadelphia, and parents are from Southwest Ohio, so I'm feeling connected here. But I'd read an elegy that I wrote for my best friend in middle school, as the mentions of jazz here reminded me of it, and we played saxophone together in the band. So this is in loving memory of my friend Victor, and this is called Victory. You float upon subconscious streams, though it can make it hard to breathe. Start to swing on a time-warp breeze. So did the man whose prejudice ever let you take the wheel? You standing up by sitting down to express the way you feel. In front of the stand around midnight time, I'd be feeling the invisible drizzle, us blowing the tones of a restful rhyme, and then making them gentlemen sizzle. You'd be choosing the clearer value of seductions amid the tomes, near where we'd weathered a flying tantrum about a tempo wandering from home. And we'd be checking out the trap, having wriggled out of class, in a room of silently sleeping sheaths, full of vibrant, glittering brass. And you'd be asking how you figure, while we'd fake the sounds of seagulls, a squawking loudly with such vigor, spirits soaring like the eagles. And I'd be checking out the rhythm of the congan groove you pitching while hearing your sister hammer hickories, getting them ready for the kitchen. And I'd be catching the patchwork play for a greeting I'd solely witness, you laughing at them dancing eggs with a passionate yen for citrus. And you'd be winging that equide sphere that act more like a football by hanging eerily in the air like the echo of a football. And now you're jamming on that train, fingers jumping with jiving skill. The notes of all them tunes you shared still be sliding through my skull. To echo there like yours did on stage, knuckles rhapsodizing with speed. Though as in rumor you submerge to the beat of a galloping steed. That resonates in my soul, brother, I never had any truer friend. And in the memories of another, you'll triumph in the end. Thank you.
I'll read this one I wrote fairly recently. It's called On Bellows and Purrs. It's Sunday evening dread for a family of 4 girls in 1970. Dad commands a black and white TV watching Lawrence Welk's syndicated show, his favorite. Holly hides in her room. Mom's in the bathroom helping 5-year-old Jenny with her bath. Holly and I begin to walk past Dad in the living room when the doorbell rings. Dad instructs, "Don't move," opens the door to a skinny man in a beige suit sporting a satin striped pink and white bow tie, holding clipboard and red accordion. He's offering lessons for children. Dad lets him in, gives him his red accordion, the expanse of the couch. "Don't move," he repeats to us. In minutes, we signed up to take lessons. Were we musically fated because we were in the wrong room with impeccably imperfect timing, or that we were the middle children, or that I had weathered horrors of baton, acrobatics, disgraceful arabesques, while theatrical Polly craved any new stew that would place her talents on stage? At any rate, we were the pair signed up for Columbus Accordion Academy and weekly late Sunday short solos on a rented accordion we shared. Like Polly's hand-me-downs, I waited until she practiced first, but during 45-minute sessions on East Main Street, I could pick one from the custodian's back room. So Sundays at 4:15, after a dozen student players finished scales and 7-measure solos, a profusely sweating man with a handlebar mustache lined us up one by one with urgency, as if preparing children for a fire drill. He directed us to an open bottom right-hand prize drawer of a scratched wooden desk in an office marked simply accordion. The desktop was covered with disheveled manila folders stained with coffee rings, a Royal Mercury typewriter, Western Electric black rotary phone, and a tiny Persian figurine that stood upright, playing a concertina. On our first Sabbath day of rewards, I was last in line, with one prize left, a small blue plastic pig bank. The man gave my braided ponytail a slight pull. "Squeeze him," he panted. "Maybe he'll squeal for you." But the pig was without sound, though a little air released from the coin slit like an accordion's bellow. I was shy, but wanted him to know I liked learning and remembering things. I whispered, it reminded me of the bellow, like lungs. The bellow makes the sound, I said, barely audible and trembling. He leaned down to hear me, smelling of sweat and Arthur Treacher's fish and chips. He laughed. You're very smart, sweet girl. Lessons were given in a tiny storefront next to the Lavender Pussycat. I loved the large billboard, Purple Kitty surrounded by rhinestones and feathers. Every time our lesson was over, I asked Dad if we could walk in, pet as many kittens as they housed. His face was always red, his answers always no, his explanation always, it would cost too much. When I fed the blue pig all my pennies and dimes I had taped underneath my Barbie's shocking pink Murphy bed, I handed the stuffed blue belly to Dad, said surely there was enough to catch a peek inside, see how many kitties are inside purring. Dad was relieved Mom suddenly stopped the nonsense. We were not going back. She found out we were not being taught musical notes, just learning songs by numbers instead. So our money's being wasted, she said matter-of-factly, then smiled at me. It's time to look for a used piano to buy, and your stuffed blue piggy will help with our new family cause. Thank you.
Older poem. This is called Spinner. This speaks to my love of Greek mythology, Spinner. I want to witness myself today, easing into a soft realization at first, a grace entry into meeting with reality. I breathe and see my chest rise. I breathe and hear the sound is a sigh inward, release with a steady wind. I feel my shoulders lower, not sag, not admission of defeat, acknowledgement of what is and what cannot be. I know the fiber of me loving, craving, wanting this last bit of connection snagging, but I do not yet know where I pick and tug at the correct thread and be done. I am Hephaestus to a vanity that I would forge something pure. It would be the sorcery of what carved you, protection, smoothed out hurt, brought love, a guard, the new foundation. I watched the wood as it built up, righted itself. I braced along with it, curved to its will. I was there to press my back into it, hold it up, carry it. I am Atlas now, weary, back warped gratefully. I was there weaving the cloth out of thin air from conception, a whole careful metered out preparation of making two parts into one, a practice of halt and restart and halt at your pace, at your command. We began by soaking a raw love coated in hesitation, rinsing residual of relationship past, clinging, stubborn, staining fingers, sudsing a wish of something envisioned brand new again. My heart was too soft a wash to corrode. We moved to and are swallowed in the enormity of carding the wool of me, the wool of you, of us hoping. Me here, spindle wand, goddess generous, you, distaff of the fates, manipulating beginning, middle, and end. Me here, still twisting nettle thread, hoping we could spin it, beautiful, spin it, love, hand in hand together. We were never meant to reach that end point. I am not Arachne, clever maiden, weaver of something out of nothing. I am not Arachne. I am not Arachne on my own. It is here, only here, we become a creature cleaved, a fleeting union. We, my ill-conceived flame, we are Arachne. I, the clever spinner of devotion, and you and your hubris will challenge the old gods. I am the fates now. I find where the thread gives way and sever my heart's sustaining cord. The unraveling of us making one into two and separate again becomes certain. It's a process of stepping off the retaining frame and walking away.
So I will finish with this poem. It's called We, it there says, we want everything. These predictable exchanges we pass on thin winds, are we talking or just fanning ourselves? Where's the gust? You don't know me, cause itself. Take my hand, grip. It is malleable. I'll come, always at the ready, on the brink of becoming. You're a poor man in Philadelphia, I in exile shaping poems in Paris. Sometimes we say, Comment ça va? Bien, et toi? And leave it at that, like two dogs lifting hind legs at the hydrant. Here it sounds, how's it going, man? It goes like this. Each time our children's hands are snagged on social barbed wire, ripped to shredded stumps, forbidden the fruit of innocent desire, I stop cold here on a boulevard, uncurl palms scarred and cannot heal. I am a civilized man, thus told to hold my tongue. How absurd! I prefer to hold yours, like a shell pressed to my ears, resonance of inner cosmos, rings a harmonic convergence. We want everything. We must stop lamenting the rain, shrinking from heat, humid days. Weather, oh, so much tide, ocean of air from which we swim. Direct me to the nearest galaxy. Shall we summon a boat? What's happening? Ask me. Yes, ask me. You and I make alchemy, the space between us, charged with protons of love, passion particles osmosing the boundaries of the vacuum. We are about love when we choose to be. Bullets, blades, booby traps, sprung by the masters, parasites embalmed in pale faces, back-bulk visions, myopic chill light, hermetic madness. Come on, Orpheus, play me your opus. I will open my heart like a tulip in April. We shall build the cult of imagination. You don't know me. I hear your howls from the death camps, Columbus crematorium. Migrating birds pass the news. I wrench requiems from my sleep, brewed in the mirror of morning cafe, arrested in motion on a bridge deck, hammered steel, cold steel rivets to the base of my skull. And you don't know me? I've been writing to you for years and crystal clear moments. I sing your song in the darkness. How you be? Go on, tell me. Tell me more, more, so much more. Thank you.